All right, we're back. Back from a quick break here. We're going to talk some League of Legends here. Got a few things to talk about topic-wise, just with the Super Week and an article that Richard released. But before we do that, I just want to remind folks that we're going to be doing call-ins. We're going to be doing sub-only call-ins first. And I just emailed all my subs, basically the Skype ID to message and to message your questions and to kind of just talk to Amin first, and then he'll kind of relay those guys to me, and then we'll have you call in just 1 second here. But before we do that, let's talk about League of Legends. And Richard, you're always our League of Legends guy here. But
not according to the League of Legends community, who think
true.
everything I say is bullshit. So let's not throw that label around too soon.
That's true. But yeah, so you followed Super Week. Super Week was this past week. Lots of things going on.
Yeah, I mean, I followed it as much as I could. Obviously, It was WrestleMania weekend. Guys, seriously, fuck you, Undertaker, man, brilliant.
Undertaker.
So yeah, I know it probably is. And anyone who says, how can a grown man like wrestling? Guys, you follow esports, okay? So shut the fuck up.
Actually, did you watch WWE on Twitch leading into WrestleMania? It was on Friday night.
Well, yeah, I heard about it, but I say on WrestleMania week.
It was like Booker T. It was Booker T. Somebody else. There's like 3 people.
I saw that. I'm surprised it actually ran for as long as it did. I kept reporting it for non-gaming content, but it wasn't going to take off for some reason.
I thought it was a joke, but then it was confirmed to be legit by the Twitch folks. So, doing some wrestling too on Twitch. Interesting. Continue, Richard. Continue.
I just on that point, I think it's great to see Twitch sort of picking up more niche stuff and moving beyond. You know, the demographic between wrestlers and esports enthusiasts is pretty similar. If you look at them, they wear similar T-shirts. They're of a similar weight class. They
all right. Who watches? Steven
Cheeto stains.
desRow, do you watch wrestling?
No, I used to.
I used to watch.
But
I used
it's
to.
too
We
fake.
all
I used to watch
wrestle.
WCW until Goldberg lost his first match,
WCW. Oh, Goldberg.
and then I quit.
Yeah,
The
I don't. Like I say, I mean, look, it's not like I've got something wrong with my brain and I think it's real still or anything, but it's, which just in case anyone's assuming that. But it's a great discipline. I grew up with it, and we had our own in the UK. Big Daddy and fucking Giant Haystacks
British
and Kendo
Bullseye,
Nagasaki, who now runs a fish and chip shop in Grimsby. Shit like that, right? So anyway, wrestling weekend, everything goes on hold for WrestleMania. So even League of Legends did, but I did kind of follow the big stories and I watched the VODs prior to this show. So hopefully I can talk about it in a reasonably intelligent way.
All right. So any surprises, any shockers for you in any of the results, EU, NA?
Well, yeah, I was so shocked that John Cena didn't put the Wyatts over. No, wait, hang on. Sorry, you mean in LOL? Right,
God.
okay. So, yeah, right. Well, I mean, look, shock-wise, individual results, like maybe not so much. Like, I mean, I want to definitely focus on America first because I thought that was where the most interesting stuff happened, like XDG.
Mm-hmm.
And they losing to EG, which was the final nail in the coffin. And it's a shame for XDG because, all right, their management completely fucked that team. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They made a lot of very poor decisions. Their coach, who we've talked about on the show before, I think made some very poor judgment calls on how to line up that team and stuff. Yep. And when they made the changes that everyone in the community was telling them to make, they looked a much better team, and they started picking up results and picking up a little bit of momentum and managed to play themselves into this position where if they could have won this game against EG, they would have avoided finishing bottom. So, and I really wanted EG to lose. Like, I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, you hate XDG. No. There is nothing that would have made me happier than to see EG have to be in a relegation battle after they bent the fucking rules. To have 2 Alex Garfield control teams in League of Legends anyway, and for Riot to facilitate that because they want the big brands on board is bullshit. It's even in the LCS contract, and it says something along. I've read an LCS contract. It says something along the lines of if you have a controlling interest in any 2 franchises, this is verboten. It will not be allowed. So. That can be like a fucking, a manager, an owner, a coach, a fucking water boy, whatever. How can you say how can you say the Alliance and EG aren't connected? How can people still honestly labor under that delusion. So anyway, so that's a fucking side issue. So I really wanted XDG to win. EG have looked terrible all season. Like everyone was saying, it was going to show the difference between NA and EU, that we were going to ship over a bunch of has-beens and they were going to, do reasonably well in the league. And they did, they haven't at all. They've looked like the has-beens they are. And, I say that with all due respect. But I think casting careers and analyst desks beckon for most of them. Which is, that's where that's the LOL players' graveyard. Like pretty soon by season 8, you're just going to have an analyst desk with 30 people on because Riot doesn't want to put anyone with a personality loose.
Man. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, that's
Scar?
what I mean. If you've got a personality, right, they just want to fucking try and keep you in the company. It's a lot like wrestling in that sense. If you've contributed to the business and helped it come up, you don't get cast off, which is A, kind of cool. But B, again, I think there's people that aren't really suited to roles that they're getting, and there's untried talent out there which isn't getting opportunities because fuck it, why not fill it with a retired player, right? So anyway, back to the results. XDG are fucked. They're gonna play LMQ now, so they're double fucked because there's no way they're gonna beat LMQ. So that was the end of the XDG adventure. Good job management. You had an LCS franchise and you completely fucked it. So that's my thoughts on that. If anyone else wants to fucking join in.
Isn't EG bottom 2?
Amen.
Yeah, they're bottom 2.
Okay,
yeah.
So they're in relegations too, right?
I think isn't it bottom 2, but like you get seeded, so like they're gonna play. They're dodging
They get the least pick versus
Yeah.
the seed 8 does not get to pick who their opponent is. So
Oh,
EG will be able to dodge at least.
The Gambit Genja build yet? Are we not there yet?
Right. Oh yeah, we're definitely getting to that. So and also as well, there's a lot of fucking confusion. I see a lot of people talking about Skara and how he decided to stand down in some like altruistic act. That guys, sorry to break it to you, he's a cool dude, but he didn't do that. He was benched. The team will tell you he was benched. The manager will tell you he was benched. He got benched. End of story. He wasn't up to par. The team felt this. The management felt this. And they made an executive decision to bring in this Golden Glue guy. And, I'll tell you, it's interesting to watch the sort of Riot machine work with him because he had an interview straight away. He can talk. He seemed at ease on camera. And I think they're trying to push to fill that Skara gap. Obviously, I imagine Dignitas would be very keen for that to happen because obviously Skara was the guy who used to do all their media handling stuff. So, they need a replacement for that. And this guy is looking like he's fitting the bill, he's and the Riot machine are grinding to help make that happen as they do with all the good little organizations that fall in line and sing from the Riot hymn sheet. So, he got benched, massively benched. So what else was going on?
Well, Gambit obviously made some news with, I guess, a lot of question as to why Genja wasn't running a Last Whisper or whatever.
Yeah,
there's
like okay.
Huge questions about that.
I'm of the opinion, and obviously I'm not game savvy, LOL savvy enough to really have an opinion that counts. I'm a gold level player, so that doesn't really say anything to my talent. And again, as I always say, tweet at Monte Cristo. But my opinion is you should be building a Last Whisper probably as your third item, especially in the current meta, which is so focused on tanks. Right now, to not have a Last Whisper is pretty much suicidal. But Genja's always been like this. There's a lot of it's well documented, even within the team. Like Edward and Genja. Edward when he moved away said me and Genja never really had any synergy. There's people have said he's very stubborn. Like he's got so many good attributes, like his positioning, the way he approaches team fights, the way he can focus on a target. He's brilliant for that. He is an elite AD carry. But in terms of just the build, it just seems to me such an easy part of your game to fix is to just build right, like to have a sensible build path. And he even splits items. Like he doesn't fully commit to building like an IE. He'll start building a Phantom Dancer like halfway through, and it's like, which way is he going to go with it? So he does very, if you like, cost inefficient builds, and not take a Last Whisper in the current meta has probably hurt Gambit in a few games. I think that's pretty much undeniable. Obviously it's getting highlighted now because it's the end of the season, but it was but it was a
happening all season.
truism. Yeah, it was a truism for most of the season. He's always been like that.
Yeah.
And people are saying he's not an elite AD carry. Holy shit! Like Gambit's record definitely says different. So.
All right, let's talk about some LCSU. And big news there is SK Gaming. You know, they finished, I think, first, right, after the splits. And it seemed to be after dropping Ocelot, they seemed to be doing quite well. So, you know, what's the story there? Because Ocelot, obviously, he's known by a lot of folks in the League of Legends community and kind of famous for claiming that he won, like, I don't know, was it 600,000 or 700,000 last year or something like that? And that number seemed kind of out of nowhere. So I don't know. I guess what do you think? SK Gaming obviously a lot better now.
This is the section where Destiny and desRow need to get their books out. I always recommend bringing a book for the new Unfiltered because it's so many games. Yeah. Or just, you know, whatever floats your boat. But anyway, okay. So the Ocelot situation is this: like, Ocelot's a great guy. He's a very popular presence. You know, he was very high profile because he went from being a rager and, you know, telling people that they deserve to die of cancer, or as it's known in the industry, pulling an Idra. And, you know, he got rehabilitated by Riot. They made a little video about him. Like, you know, he told some story about how he met some kid and, you know, that changed his perspective. And some guy added him afterwards saying, man, you really hurt my feelings when you told me to die of cancer. And then that made him suddenly realize that saying that wasn't okay. Because, you know, and they had Professor Light on there talking about player behavior like he likes to, like he's a fucking, you know, the smartest man who ever lived. But anyway, so there was that. So Ocelot was very high profile, but never really for his ability. If we're honest, you know, he wasn't a
like
top
a
tier mid laner.
He was more personality. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, he was so readily associated with SK because of that personality. You know, he's got his own merchandise, the whole scarf thing. He was very emotional. You know, he wasn't afraid to cry when he won, cry when he lost. You know, he was very Latin in that sort of sense of showing his emotions. So all of that is what made Ocelot the impactful character that he was on League of Legends, not really his ability to play. So I think when they got rid of him, I think it was no one had any idea that the team was going to do this good. No one had any idea that replacing Ocelot would work. And if you look at the prediction, there was a thread about it on Reddit recently. I think most people had SK bottom of the league. You know, the majority of people had SK favorites for the relegation. Their success has been down to, and again, I'm working on an article about it, so I don't want to reveal too much. But, you know, they've done intense. Always writing. You know, they've done an intensive coaching regime behind closed doors. They brought in that innovation guy who was banned from competing in League of Legends for, you know, allegedly DDoSing players and persistent toxic behavior. Although Riot apparently never provided any proof of this, and it's been something that's been hotly contested. He's the coach there now at SK Gaming. They've not made a big song and dance about it, and everything collectively seems to be working for them right now, and they look a much better team. I'm pretty sure with Ocelot being bottom of the Challenger League, I mean, it's really going to hurt, especially with the owner of SK, the Slash, Alex, coming out and saying there's no way he cleared 700,000 euros or whatever it was last year. Which, to be honest, again, I feel sorry for Ocelot in this sense, because he's been gamed into feeling like he needs to say that, because like League of Legends is the fucking, you know, the big game, and everyone only talks about, you know, in the mainstream media, life-changing amounts of money. Like, no one wants to care about, oh, you cleared 8,000.
How are you gamed into saying that? You don't. What?
Yeah, no, I mean, 150,000 a year for a lot of people
is
life-changing money.
Exactly.
Shit, sorry.
50,000 a year from
Guys, sorry. I just realized I said innovation, didn't I? Did I say innovation?
You said
incarnation.
Yeah, I think you said.
Sorry, guys. It's because I love StarCraft so much. I just.
Oh God.
I
Please.
It's because I watch so much StarCraft, and it's just, you know, I'm really sorry. Yes, sorry. It is incarnation. Thanks. I stand corrected. I don't know why I said innovation. I'm on Lemsips right now. I'm pretty fucked up. So anyway. So yeah. Basically, here's how you get gamed into it. Okay. So I'm a mainstream media person. I'm interviewing you. And I start asking you questions about how much do you make, how much do you make, you know, and you probably don't think it's going to filter back down into the industry circles, like maybe people aren't gonna come out and call you out on it, so you exaggerate because it makes a better story. You just exaggerate. Like I'm not.
You've gotta know
Okay,
that.
all right.
You gotta
No.
know, like, if somebody were interviewing me, like, on the interviews that I've done for Forbes or, like, their online bullshit, like, I would never drop a number like that. Like, oh, like, yeah, I think I make about
So easy to get
500,000 a
called
year
on.
streaming.
I mean,
Like,
come
yeah,
on.
like, somebody's gonna call me that, some Twitch admin, because they've got access to all the logs. They can see how much I make. Like, some Twitcher, somebody's gonna be like, there's no fucking way that he makes $500,000 a year. Like, that, like, if you want to exaggerate something like that, like, let's say that I made, like, 90,000 a year, I might exaggerate that to, like, 105, so I can say, like, oh,
Yeah.
6 figures, you know?
Something
But I wouldn't go
reasonable.
from, like, 90,000 a year to, like, oh, you know, I think I made, like, $250,000 easy. Like, I cleared $250,000 easy, like, no problem, you know? Like, that was really fucking stupid of him to say. To say 700,000, I mean, it's impossible for me to call bullshit, but like when I see him say 700,000, I think he said one of the biggest things was like merchandising, which historically has pretty low profit margins. Like that felt really silly to me when I read that. But I mean, I don't know the actual numbers. But when other people started coming out and were like, "There's no fucking way he made that much," like that's very easy for me to believe. Like nobody makes that much money on fucking merchandising. Like
No, and
scarves,
that. Yeah, and
Scarves,
that's,
man, yeah. Scarves, they
that's-
rent for 100 a piece, dude.
But I thought it was kind of a shitty move by Alex to come out and say there's, you know, we've seen the numbers that he sold scarves wise, so we'd like to know where the rest is coming from. Like, I don't think that public argument particularly served anyone. This isn't like an industry this isn't like a tournament lying about viewing figures. This is an individual inflating what he earned annually. Like, you know, and I know, again, maybe it's because I'm British. We're very cagey about talking about money. We're not openly transparent about that. It's considered rude if you ask somebody what you make, you know, and I'm pretty sure that translates for Europe. I don't know about you Americans. Again, you're alien beings to me. So maybe, but anyway, so you know, I thought that was like a bit unseemly, that whole separation, and it so far really hasn't worked out for us a lot, and it's a shame because you know he definitely adds something to the scene. Him not being part of LCS, I think actually I would go as far as to say it overall it harms the LCS product because you could always rely on him for those standout moments that were worth talking about. You know, every time there was a roundup on like a website doing the sort of, you know, esports moments of the year, you know, Ocelot crying into his scarf would always feature for one reason or another. You know, like. Well, that's what he did. His scarf's actually made out of some material that just soak up tears.
It's like onions or something like that.
Yeah. So there's that. But I mean, look, all credit to SK. Bringing in a StarCraft 2 player to do coaching for them has really worked out. No, again, kidding. That didn't happen.
But
so you know,
top. Definitely sit on top of the standings and.
Yeah, and nobody
good.
thought that was possible. I mean, don't get me wrong. For that to have happened, other teams have had to fail. And of course, we've got the whole issue of this split not really counting for a whole lot of much. Maybe encourage some teams to kind of, you know, take their foot off the throttle or not. But it's fully deserved. And, you know, it's put SK Gaming back on the map as an elite gaming organization, which, holy shit, who thought that was going to happen, right? So...
All right, well, let's move on to an article that you wrote. This past, or you released this past weekend, that's, you know, League of Legends again, based, and this one in particular has to do with a player and a caster. And let me link everybody this article. And you know, the reason we're talking about it, A, is because it's Richard's article, but secondly, a lot of folks are asking about it too in the Reddit thread. So figured we bring it up. This is actually news from, I don't know, about 6 months ago, or maybe a little bit more than that. And I don't know. Why don't you talk about it? And you know, actually, Steven and desRow can actually maybe, I don't know, even relate, or we can even ask you guys what you would do in this situation. But Richard, you wanna?
Okay, so just to give the cliff notes, because I talked for ages already. So basically, the situation you've got is there's a team called Cognitive Gaming. They're doing particularly well online, and they're one of the sort of favorites to have a chance to get into the LCS qualifying tournaments for the spring split, I think it was, or whatever. Fuck knows, maybe it was the summer split. Like I say, I'm all fucked up. The painkillers are kicked in. So they basically they go to PAX, and they win their first game, and the night before the final, a caster, a shoutcaster who isn't even casting that particular tournament and has ostensibly no reason to be there, and has organized another place to stay with another caster just so we can come and hang out to the event. Basically impersonates the manager to get a card key at 3 a.m. and just climbs into bed with the player in the middle of the night, just gets into bed with him and says it's all okay. And he's got permission from the manager to do it. And the support player, a guy called Valkyrin, he gets so sort of like, and it happened one night prior to this, but they didn't have a game, so he didn't object as much. He was like, dude, I cannot have this weird guy that I don't know tossing and turning in a bed with me in the middle of the night, so I'm going to ask him to leave the room. But he goes down to the hotel lobby, realizes he can't actually ask anyone to leave the room because the room isn't in his name. It's a block booking, so it's in his manager's name.
He could have asked. I mean,
he
himself could have asked him to leave.
I know what it's like. They're very particular in a lot. Obviously, I travel a lot as well. They are very particular in hotels. Like, you've got to, if you ask for any service, because like, how can they establish?
No, I'm saying, like, why doesn't he just ask him to leave? That's the thing.
Okay. So why does he not ask him to leave? Again, I don't know about that. Like, but here's the thing: I'd be pretty freaked out if a guy just climbed into bed with me at 3 a.m. in the morning, like, just randomly out of the blue. Some guy I don't even know. Like,
Steven, how would you feel?
If I say to him, "Can you please leave?" How do I know he's not gonna stick it in or something?
How famous was the caster?
Well, it's a guy called Rapid. Not particularly famous, but he's the voice, if you like, for the NACL. So.
I think, it's a little bit different. Like, Richard's insight here is really unique, too. I mean, Richard being the way that he is, like, I imagine that his boyfriend would get really upset if he found out that this had happened, too, so.
Mate,
no, but come on, like, desRow, imagine you're at a tournament,
you're
playing for a
this
team.
Guy would leave the fuck out of, like, if he's not someone I know, have a tournament,
what if he's somebody you know? What if he's somebody you know?
You just call your teammate and you're like, let's push him out. Like, let's kick him out. Who the fuck is this guy? There's no reason, like, if you're trying to go pro, it's your one shot. You're just, like, singing the Eminem song, and you're just, you want to win. You just get him out of the room. You, like, punch him or something. Like, I wouldn't let him end my bed. That's fucked up.
Yeah, but it's what I mean. Like, right, whatever the ins and outs of that, okay, right, whatever the ins and outs of that. And I mean, and here's the thing. This guy had a room across town with a chick. And he chose to get into bed.
Oh, I thought he didn't have a room.
I thought he had. No, he did. Okay. Another caster,
it's even more fucked up.
A female caster called Silver Dirge, had not only put him up, but had absolutely made ridiculous provisions for him to stay with her. Like, she'd gone way beyond the Call of Duty as a host. Yet he chose to do this. So anyway, long story short, whatever we think about should Valkyrin have done something or not, I get it. We all want to pretend we're all like, alpha males, and I'd have just smothered him with my pillow and then ate his corpse because I'm so fucking hot. Yeah, okay, cool, right? So let's not have that argument because it's pretty pathetic. So the what happens then is, so he sits in the lobby thinking, I don't want to go and share a room. It's my first big event. I don't want to share a bed with some creepy guy I don't know. So he sits in the lobby, kind of half sleeping and all that. And then it gets to like 6, 7 a.m. It's time to get up, time to play, time to have breakfast. The guy who got into bed with him, I think, even made him buy him a Danish, which is like the ultimate, like, because he had no money. So it's like, it's the ultimate fucking insult. Like, hey, I've climbed into bed with you. I've rubbed against you in the middle of the night. I've fucked up your sleep, and now will you buy me breakfast? And then this guy has to go into a tournament. This guy has to go into a tournament and play, and this tournament decides whether they get a shot at LCS qualification. And of course, he was really, really tired, and he played like shit. So, okay, so the thing is that everyone was like, well, why did you write the article? Because it happened about 8, 9 months ago, right? So it was just an interesting and funny story to me. The caster Rapid had kind of got away scot-free with it. Like, no one had named him. He'd been going around threatening people with legal action if they dropped his name. There was like, he was very aggressive to some people. The Reddit thread got deleted. Anyone who named him, the mods were deleting their thing. So there was that. I thought, let's make it a matter of record that this guy did this, pretty awful, selfish act. Secondly, it's to highlight the ineptitude of the manager. The manager is friends with the caster and is now sort of his current employer, if you like, over at NACL. So that's pretty shady and shit that you would even put your own team's well-being and the potential of getting to an LCS qualifier over, your friend maybe having to slum it for a little bit. Then there was the fact that, and this was the contentious issue, I don't think a lot of people understood what I was trying to say. Like, For me, if your manager lets you down and he acts in a way that's detrimental to your well-being or against your interests as a player, I think Riot, as big as LCS is and what they want it to be and their aspirations to be a real sport, there should be like a player welfare officer, if you like someone I can go to, because like I know it's an internal issue, and I'm not saying Riot should put guards outside your room. Like, who are you? You know, like, I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is, though, at the minute that okay, so my manager's telling me it's okay for this dude to sleep in my bed, or is he? You know, we don't know about that because he won't comment on it. But, you know, I don't want that to happen. So I should be able to go to somebody else and say, look, can you just have a word with the manager and tell them about, you know, because a Riot guy could go to the manager and be like, oh, we've heard that there's been unlicensed people staying in the hotel room, and just to let you know, we run a tight and professional ship here, and we wouldn't like it if that happened. And that's all you need to say, and then the guy's out the room because it's Riot. And
well, he wasn't
he
wasn't even supposed to be in the room or something weird like that, right? That's why he couldn't ask the hotel.
No. He wasn't supposed to be in the room. It was just that the manager had booked it for him.
Oh, okay.
You know,
okay,
like,
got it.
you know,
So his name wasn't on the room. Okay.
Yes, his name wasn't on there. It was on the credit card that I paid for it.
Well,
So anyway,
I'm gonna
go.
go. We're doing hardcore. This is like my inner rape culture talking. Okay, so I'm trigger warning to everybody. My rape culture is coming out. But
no.
this is one of those life lessons, right? Being a shy person, that's a negative trait. That's an objectively bad thing. I know a lot of people say like we're all different, and some people are blah. If you're shy, that's a bad thing. If there's no situation in your entire life ever where being shy is ever going to be a good thing for you ever, except maybe some people like a shy guy, like girls or some dumb. But for the most part, being shy is always going to fuck you. You are to some extent the keeper of your own destiny, the decider of your own fate. Like, for that guy to let that dude come in his room and not say a single thing to him, or to try to figure out some way, like, he really fucked himself there. Like, it's his tournament, it's his chance to make a big showing. I don't know why he thought that. I don't know why he bitched out so hard and didn't try to like do anything about it. Like, I understand what you're saying about how like we'd all like to pretend that we're the alpha guy. Like, for me personally, this is why I always got my own room. I don't like if I'm not sharing a room with somebody, or like I choose if I want to share a room with someone, like that's it. Like, I always get my own room because I don't like to fuck around with stupid shit like that, like random people showing up and whatnot. But I mean, like, if somebody did, like, it's your tournament, like. I mean, I don't know. Like, I kind of feel a little bit bad.
It sounds like it's.
I should have said something. Like, that's a life lesson for him to learn. Like,
definitely
maybe
a
in the
life
future,
lesson.
like, I need to.
Yeah, and he absolutely acknowledges that after the fact. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, sure.
But and the other reason was just to sort of to write the article was just to highlight, like, this is esports. Like, everyone out there is talking about, oh, the growth of esports. Esports is so professional. You know, you've got like documentaries like Free to Play now, and everyone's talking like this happened like 8-9 months ago. This clusterfuck of amateurish bullshit where no one really comes out of it looking good. And these are the kind of stories that I think need to be told, because anyone who thinks esports is like completely fucking over the hump and we've made it to the promised land where it's like, yay, we're all so professional now, everyone accepts us, yeah, it's not just Korea, yeah, we're not there, guys. We're never gonna be, because we never talk about any of the fuck ups or the mistakes, and anyone who does gets labeled a tabloid. I mean, next article I'm going to explain what the term tabloid is, by the way, because holy shit, would people in esports benefit from that, the bullshit that they talk. So yeah,
all right,
so that's why. But equally as well, I mean, get this right, so this Rapid guy didn't even pass comment. He elected at the time not to comment. Then he puts a self-pitying Reddit thread saying, "Oh, people have been sending me nasty messages." Right?
You have a link to that thread?
So yeah, I can probably get it for you. So this is hilarious, right? Because here's a guy. His argument was, "Oh, it sucked that he just didn't tell me to leave because he's, you know, shy, so how am I supposed to know?" But at the same time, he's saying, "But they get nasty messages." Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what are you? Are you alpha or fucking beta? Like,
another thing you've got to consider. Another thing you got to consider. Okay, because this is true. Even in the United States, even in my city, there are differing opinions on like what's right or wrong in regards to like how do men act towards each other. And I guarantee you, in